Hey guys, how's everybody doing? It is Guido, and we've got another interview. This time with the Devil Dog. Say hello, Devil Dog.
What's going on, everybody? How you guys doing today?
All right, man. So we're gonna have a little chat about the Devil Dog and what he brings to the table for the CCs. I've got my coffee. I know you got yours.
It's very important this early in the morning for us older men to
That's
be able to function and have words that mean something.
yeah, and any other function that the coffee helps out with is also a bonus plan right there. So
I just dyed mine. Do I need to send you a little package?
well, I
You're
feel like
starting to get a little bit of
that's the silverback thing going on. You know, you
yeah, a
got
little bit
the
of experience.
yeah. You're the
There you go.
you got old man strength. You know that kind of thing.
You got the Jay Leno's going on.
I know it. I
Women
know
love
it.
that.
Distinguished, isn't it? I was told it was well coiffed. I'm not even.
Salt and pepper.
Yeah, yeah. I went to a comedy show and the guy looked at me and said, "Sir, you've got a well coiffed beard." And I said, "I don't know what that means." And I'm
But
should I be
thank you.
yeah, should I be insulted? Are we going to fight? I don't know what's going to happen. Anyway,
It was
so
a
Devil
compliment.
Dog is one of the new CCs, right? And so tell
It
tell
is.
everybody a little bit about what you do CC wise. Who is your community? What's your plan? What's the Devil Dogs CC plan here?
You're starting it off strong with a
I
loaded
know, I know. I'm
question.
just we're gonna come off the top rope, man.
Now I'm starting to sweat and okay. Got my fidget spinner here. Um, so my community is based off of entertainment. I'm not going to try to, even skim the surface of saying that I know everything about tanks and be the end all be all of know everything. I want to focus on the entertainment value. When you come into my stream, I want you to have a good time. I want you to feel uh, when people follow. Our big thing is welcoming them in. You're now part of the family. I want everybody to just be welcomed, have a good time, like you're hanging out with your best friends. We'll sit there and we'll drink along and just have a good time. And in between all of that, I like to help out a lot of the newer players.
Right.
Try to work on the basics,
Yeah.
the fundamentals. Mini map, cover, firing effects, angling, just stuff like that to help new players or inexperienced players become better, so we can have a better community base.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So that's
so
what I saw. I actually watched went over and hung out with a Devil Dog for about an hour and a half the other night. And I actually enjoyed it. We were talking about it before we started the interview here, and I did enjoy it. But I did have one question. I did have one.
mhm.
Who is Big Country?
Big Country is one of our favorites in the community. I think he came around about a year ago, and it just kind of clicked. So he is just a big-hearted, just big country boy,
Right.
and just it just kind of clicked. Like when we play together, when he's in the Discord, it's just one of those things that people enjoy that chemistry.
That's cool.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. So I think if you've ever been in or around the military, I think everyone knows a Big Country. It's not the same guy, but everyone knows.
no,
You know what I mean? Everyone knows a Big Country. I knew a Big Country. That's why I had a laugh when I saw that. That was fantastic,
yeah,
man.
and he's always big. It's
Yeah.
just like he was growing up on some cornbread, some good old country living, and
Yeah. Yeah.
he'll get you the shirt off his back and make you laugh at the same time.
I think that's one of the cool things about it. We talk a lot about community doing the Twitch thing, and it is important. And when you can actually make a connection like that, I have a couple of those as well that are really they're important to me, which is strange to say. I wouldn't have said that maybe 2 years ago before I started that. I would have maybe kind of
Right.
scoffed it, but at the same time, now it's you know what it's your internet friends, but it's actually kind of cool, very much, very much. All right,
It's a
so
big thing for me.
yeah,
Community. I've actually met a lot of people off of Twitch and offline, and they are some of my real world friends now that I just would not be here
right.
without them. So,
So do you do YouTube or are you just streaming right now?
um, I was doing YouTube, and I just moved to Ohio, and then a whole bunch of things followed with that. But I do have a lot of ideas that I've been working on, to include working on kind of re how should I say this? Kind of going back to the basics. I
Right.
know there's been a lot of changes with World of Tanks recently and over the years that there's been a lot of tankers that kind of faded away from tanks, a lot of new players coming in, and there's things with the blueprints, the balance of the tanks and what they're doing. So I am in the midst of making some videos about that, and we will be ramping up the YouTube this coming up. Was it
Okay.
March?
So that's in the future plans section there. That's on the way then.
Within the next week or two, we'll
All right.
start having videos. They're in production right now.
And you're mostly Twitch streaming, right? Or you're just Twitch streaming, not YouTube streaming or any of the other things?
I was doing a multi thing to Mixer and Twitch, but it kind of spread me thin. It just wasn't producing the results that I wanted to. So yeah, I'm focusing on Twitch.
Okay. Describe the Devil Dog's play style. How do you go about this game?
Probably just like everybody else, too aggressive for my own good.
Sprayed roach, sprayed roach style.
I know there's a lot of light tank lovers out there. I know Steel Guts in Tennessee, and there's a few of them. I'm a big fan of Skill. I was actually in Skill's clan for a bit. But my play style in the tanks that I use are usually mobile heavies, like the IS series, things that can get around, create a flank movement, and still be able to withstand the damage that that aggressive play style can bring. And then I like heavier mediums, like the 430. Just something that I can be mobile, I can create opportunity. I may be hurt by this opportunity, but I want to make sure that the team advances and is able to reflank, because sitting there and just trading shots, it's not my element. It's not my play style. I want to advance. I want to take that opportunity when it comes up, and hopefully the team realizes that and then closes in on that enemy.
So what I've seen that I think is actually interesting, and it is cool that you brought that up, is most, if not all, streamers, you can't say all a lot of times, but the vast majority of them would describe themselves exactly what you said. I'm too aggressive. And it's my contention that you only get good at this game by being too aggressive for quite a while, and then you learn as you go. So that brings me to my next question. What's your philosophy for getting better at the game? How do you go about that?
The first thing is fundamentals. There's anything that you do, you've got to work on the fundamentals. You've got to make sure that the groundwork that you lay out and that you play in is strong, like a building. You've got to make sure that cornerstone is set perfectly. And it's always important to go back to those, because through time and through playing, you lose kind of your sight on those fundamentals. And it's important to go back to them. Covering behind cover instead of, going to that bush and seeing through it and shooting. Go to that bush, see them, back off until, that bush is covered, and it helps out on, not being spotted so easily. Just simple things that you can do.
Right. I imagine you don't spend a lot of time blaming everything but yourself on your losses. Is that true?
I'm not an optimist, and I'm not a pessimist. I'm a realist.
There you go. There you go.
If I screw up, I will be the first one to say, you know what? I screwed up. That was me. I'm going to take it. I take my L's. But you will hear me telling, hey, teammates, what in the hell were you doing?
Right.
It's just one of those things, like, you can see this is not right. What are you doing?
Yeah, so I don't think it's an all or nothing thing, but I think for me, it's hugely important to internalize the mistakes I made and try to minimize them, even as I understand that sometimes you're presented a shoot sandwich you can't do anything with, but I can still learn from that, right?
Yeah, and there's those times that, like, I'll go to repeat my mistake and I'll be going, I'm like, hold up. All right, let's back off. Let's rethink this, because I know what's going to happen. Yeah. And then there's those other times, like, I know what's going to happen, but I'm still going to do it because it's going to be funny, or it's going to really work really well.
Yeah.
So there's a 50-50 in there.
So how long have you been playing?
I think I got my 7-year badge. I got introduced into the game 2014, and it was basically a side thing. I was running a professional Call of Duty team and community.
All right.
We were traveling around the country. I had a professional team. We were 12th in the nation. So I was really busy, meetings, doing this, doing that, coaching. So I kind of did it just to relax because it was a nice, relaxing game.
Wow.
And then I took a break for like 2 or 3 years and then came back to tanks 16, 17. And so I took a 3 year break, and I've been playing it ever since, grinding, streaming, and just
What made you not want to do Call of Duty anymore?
It was, back then it was more of a grassroots organization. You had MLG, you had Sundance, and teams at the lower level could buy in and prove themselves. It was a community. It was this feeling when you went to these events, you met people. It was, you met in the lobbies, and it was different from what it is now. Now it's corporations, it's businesses. You got, multi-million-dollar buy-ins just to get in. So that grassroots feel is out.
Right.
And it's a very cutthroat business. If you don't have NDAs, you don't have them signed, you don't have specifics you can and cannot do's, people will try to steal and do whatever they can to get the best talent. And it's a business.
Just got wore down a bit and decided to move on, huh?
Yeah. I mean, it's expensive too.
Right.
You've got hotels, travel fees, and you've got to have sponsors for that.
Right.
I was ready to.
All right, I'm recording again.
No. All right.
Devil Dog just asked me if he was pretty. We took a quick break to check the content, make sure it was fine. He just told me he took like 3 hours to get that beard going. So, all right, here's the question: product or no?
Yes.
Yes, product.
Yes.
Really? So
always product.
What's the beard product?
Actually, well, I don't know if I'm able to spot them, but I do have a beard sponsor. But I use a oil.
Please. Go ahead. I don't care.
And beard.com.
There you
Check
go.
them out.
Beard.com.
Code TheD3vilDog for multiple percentages off.
That's awesome, man.
I use a oil and I use a butter. So when I come out of the shower, I always make sure it's completely dried off. Use an oil to get it nice and moisturized, and use a comb to make sure that it's straight and figured out. And then if I'm going out and I want it to, set well, I use the buttercream, and it kind of acts as a solidifier and it moisturizes all at the same time. And I've been, I guess, commented on my luscious beard a few times. It's part of the stream. You got emotes and everything.
Well coiffed.
Oh, yes.
That's awesome. All right, so game is better or worse? This is actually a good question for you because you left for a while and came back. Yeah. So what thoughts on better or worse?
How long do I got? All right.
No flamethrowers.
I've actually kind of held myself back from talking about this sometimes when it came up, but I guess this is a good opportunity. I'll leave it to its general aspects.
There you go.
The best way to describe it is like a rock band, AC/DC, Rolling Stones, Metallica. You have a recipe. It's what makes you famous. It's what brings everybody to you.
Your brand.
You stick with that recipe, your brand, and if you change it too much, you lose some of who you are. I think that a few years ago, I want to say when I first, about 2015, 2016, World of Tanks started kind of diving in all of the servers, RU, EU, NA. NA, I think, took the biggest hit.
Yeah, that's about right. It's about the time.
They changed their recipe, and it upset a lot of people. They took the
so tell me,
aspect.
I'm tending to agree with you, and I think this is really interesting. So tell me what changed.
Well,
in your opinion,
I think it was many things all at once, and I don't think that they knew what they changed that made it. But I do know they took away competitive, the rebalancing of SPGs, just the meta of the game changed so much that it wasn't the same game, and they kind of took things away to save money, I'm thinking, and it really hurt the bottom line, if you want to call it that.
So you're a Call of Duty player, played at a high
Mhm.
level. It's my contention that one of the things that they lost, part of the soul that they lost, is the reason that I came is it was the anti FPS. I've always said that. I like FPSs, but I liked that this was not that. Now, what are your thoughts on that?
It's definitely true. And that's actually something I use to tell a lot of people when they're first coming into it. Because when you play first-person shooters, any shooter, you always go to other shooters, and this is technically a shooter.
Sure.
It's not Call of Duty. You're not going
Right.
to have a second life. You don't need to rush out there. Yes, you've got armor, but you're not indestructible. So it's a slower paced, thought provoking. You've got to think about what you're doing. You've got to use the elements around you to make a better play.
Right.
So coming from a first person shooter to tanks, you've got to slow it down. And there's a competitive aspect to it. Yes, when you play randoms, you have to depend on your team. Um, but they took the real competitive aspect out of it. And I think that lost a lot of their player base, that 50% that
Right.
came to that game for that.
Do you think the wheeled tanks have had an effect of making it more of a run and gun feel, or
See, I thought we were having a good time here and we're enjoying ourselves. Oh,
have a sip, brother. Just lean
okay.
back and
Look at it. Look at it.
just
Okay, hold on. Let me. Whew, whew, heated questions here.
I'm starting to sweat, man. I'm starting to sweat.
All right.
This is going to be a well thought answer. I can feel it right now.
World of Tanks has historically included um, real tanks, prototype tanks, blueprint tanks.
Yep.
So I think it's inevitable that these tanks, which are a real item in this world, would eventually come to it.
More content. That's good.
The balance of the wheeled vehicles are they're not where they need to be yet. Wargaming really needs to take a look at them. I know that they want to add a different aspect and make it flashy for players and really just twist it up a little bit. But I think that they've ramped the wheeled vehicles up just a hair too much. The main thing being, we're going to throw gold ammo in there. You throw gold ammo from a 120 millimeter gun and it pops a tire and it just keeps on rolling and you do no damage. That's not balanced. They move so fast that even the light tanks who have rotation and turret and all of that, they can't keep up with it. So they bring a new aspect, but I think it's a little bit over the top to where they almost make them too hard to
Yeah. That was very
balance out.
diplomatic, man. That was well done, and I would agree with you. It's not that for me. It's not that there are light tanks or wheeled tanks. I think that's fantastic. Let's have more. It's the way they're mech'd right now. It's a little bit off,
Correct.
and for me, one of the most fundamental gameplay items in this game is getting tracked. That is so
Yes,
hugely important to this game,
because
and
it
these
can
things.
make or break.
Right. And they're immune to a very basic part of this game. And I'm not saying make them stop, but they got to be slower when they get hit in the wheel. And they've got to
And
figure out why all the bounces, because there's something wrong with the engine as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what's going on with that.
it does make them slower, but not to a point to where it really affects them.
Right.
You know,
Yep.
when I get a tire popped, I want it. And again, you do a big gun, it shoots it, and it pops the tire, and no damage. Like, even when you hit a track, there's a possibility of doing damage and getting some penetration.
And if it
There's
doesn't,
no
they
way.
stop.
Yes. If you hit a rubber tire and it doesn't do any pen to, there has to be something a little bit more balance on those.
Right. Right. So how's your garage, man? Are you how far along are you? How many tanks you got? Just general
Not
ideas.
far enough.
You're not far enough.
It's like not far enough, but too far at the same time. When you're starting out, it's exciting because you're getting new tanks.
Yeah.
And then now, I've got, I want to say like 150, 170 tanks.
Right.
And some nights it just seems like, what do I play?
Yeah.
So there's there's a little bit of asking and getting some input from the community of like, hey, what would you guys like to see? I do have my favorites, and then just progressing and getting so many tanks. There's some favorites that I'd like to go back and revisit. I'm currently just trying to step by step one mark a whole bunch of them.
Is that your goal right now? I mean, I
Yeah.
I skip around on goals. I've like I see a squirrel and I'm off and something shiny. But what's your goal right now? Is there a certain line you're trying to get to, or all one marks like you just said, or is there something else?
My goal last year was tank progression. I only had like 2 or 3 tier 10 tanks.
All right. Yeah.
I've got, almost 10 of them now, and I'm happy with that, but I'm still progressing. I've got like 3 or 4 tier 9, a whole bunch of tier 8. So I'm still progressing them. But one of the main things that I did when I was playing those tanks is I just pushed through them. I'm like, go, 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 go. Now I'm starting to come back to them. Some of my favorites, like I still want to hit up the Ferdinand. I love that tank.
Yeah.
For some reason, it was fun.
Yeah.
Especially frontline. But I'm going back to them, and I'm realizing that I was so close to one marking them, and I didn't pay attention. Like some of them are at 55, 60%. I just marked the low. Lulu, sorry. Pronunciation.
Yeah.
I was at 61%, and I moved on. I just stopped. So that's what I'm doing right now is just going back. I don't have enough Russian tanks, and I'm really hitting the Russian. I finished the American. It's done.
Right.
So
I was watching your low mark, part of it, and you were talking about it on stream while I was watching you do it. And then I watched you get artied. Thoughts?
Oh, hold on.
See how I did that? See how I transitioned the little segue right there? Yeah, another cup, another drink. That's good.
I kind of liked you,
Yeah,
I know what you're doing, right?
Eventually, it's going to come to this. You'll hate me. It's how it goes.
Everything has its place.
Yeah, there you go. We're getting diplomatic again. Let's do it.
When I first came into tanks, I won't lie, I played Artie. I think a lot of people enjoy that because they can get an overview and kind of learn what's going on. I was scared. I literally was scared to get into medium and get in the action when I first started playing. I was like, no, I'm good. I'm watching everything. I'm good. Artie's great. And then I actually played real tanks, and I stopped thinking that way.
Yeah. Yep.
I know there is a question of rebalancing in all the SPGs. In my humble opinion, which doesn't really have much weight, I think, in my mind, I don't like 3 arties per map. I don't care what map it is, you should not have 3 arties. I think that at the max, there should be a set, period, 2 arty maximum per map. No more at all. It still allows the arty to keep the map moving and all of that, but it doesn't kill the gameplay. I was sitting there just when we were playing. I was hit 1 arty, okay. 10 seconds later, 2nd arty, 3rd arty, and then that's hitting your track. It's setting you up. By the time my track was fixed from the 3rd arty, I got hit by the 1st arty again, and it's just it's a focus, and it just doesn't need to be there. There needs to be, again, a balance to it. We could go and wax on the HE and the pin and everything else like that. Again, it's a balance thing. There needs to be some pin. There needs to be some,
Yeah. So I thought that game was actually interesting for another reason, because I don't know if you remember it. It was proc. You were on proc, and you went on the 5-6 line. You came from the south, I believe. Mm-hmm. And when you loaded in, it was interesting because it's something that I do a lot as well. You loaded in and you started talking to the guys that were watching, guys and gals, and you said, all right, I don't want to do this, but I know I have to. And you watched the deployment, and you went, no one's going 5-6 line. And I immediately appreciated that about you, to be quite honest, because you went, oh, I got to do this. And you took your top tier, I think it was a tier 9 battle. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You took your Lurva up there, and that's where you started getting artied, because that's a place you get artied. Well, the reason people don't go there is because of that. But I appreciated you going, well, someone's got to do this. I mean, is that kind of a philosophy of yours on maps?
I'm very I still have my pockets where I need to learn more. Like you can never stop learning more, but I'm a very strategic player. I'm based on gameplay, team play, and I'd never like an exposed flank. There's so many times the team goes all one side. No, it's not going to work. You're going to hit in that battle, and everybody that came over here, and then you're going to get sandwiched. I like to fill where I'm most needed. If I've got the top, the top ranked tank on the team, I'll go and fill that position of that. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go over to the heavy side.
Yeah.
But if I have the same tank that's a heavy tank or whatever, but it's like even the IS-7 tier 10, boom, I'm top tier. I'm going to go over to the top side, hit the heavies. But if I'm like 8, 9, 10 down on the list, I'm going to take that IS-7 and go help support the mediums because that's where I'm going to be most effective.
Right.
If I try to go up against those other heavies at that low rank, I'm going to get demolished. I won't help my team out much.
Yeah.
But if I can help them push that line and get those mediums where they need to go, that's where I'll go.
So here's a question regarding that and just Call of Duty, since you played both games at a relatively high level, and think about it that way. Was that a thing in Call of Duty as well? Like reading the map and I don't even know if you know the lineup at the beginning, but I suppose if you're in a competitive, you know who's you're playing. Is that kind of basically the same idea?
In Call of Duty, it didn't vary as much as tanks. You didn't have the different stuff. You had different loadouts, of course, with different guns. But you had your AR, you had your submachine, you got your push, and you got somebody that held back. So you had your roles.
Right.
And then in the map, you have your channels of movement, and you basically want to set up. Whether it was an objective game, you wanted to set up around that objective, make sure you cover your flanks, push when you needed to, fall back when you needed to, and map awareness, map reading. It all comes back to awareness and where your enemy's at or where you don't see them at.
Yes, right. Sometimes where they're not is telling you about as much as where they are.
We were on main stage playing a team called Team Fear, one of the biggest teams at that time. And there was a point we were at a map, and we were on the left flank. We were on the center, somewhere left flank, and I was like, "Listen, guys, I was at the coaching them. I don't see them. You guys need to swing around the left-hand side because I got a feeling because we didn't see them on the right. We're not getting a lot of action. They're pushing on the left, so we transitioned our whole team, and boom, we were right there.
Yeah.
And we were able to shut them down that time. So it comes down to map awareness. Don't get focused on I'm here, so this is where I will live and this is where I'll die. There's a lot of times I'll be like, all right, I think we've got this held, or we don't have this held, but this flank's already failing, so I'll go back and move. You've got to be fluid in your movement.
So Call of Duty, the shots basically go where you aim, right?
For the most part,
For the most part.
It's got a little bit of variance, just like shooting a gun.
Right, but it's not nearly as big as RNG, so that's my next question for you. Thoughts on the amount of RNG in this game? So, because that's always the knock, isn't it, against this game from competitive like Call of Duty and other competitive shooters, that players don't like the RNG. Since you've kind of come from that world, what are your thoughts there?
When you're playing a game like Call of Duty or a shooter, you've got RNG, but it's mostly a point and click. You're shooting what you hit.
Yep.
The only RNG is in that small circle of where it's going to hit. It's going to hit somewhere, but it's going to do the damage that it's supposed to be. Tanks is unique in its ability to really just make you love tanks sometimes. And I've actually explained this before and had this conversation. So you've got multiple levels of RNG. The first one, your reticule. So your shell comes out and it's RNG somewhere in this circle. It's going to hit. Okay, that's RNG number one. Now, does it penetrate? Does it bounce?
Right.
Does it break track? Does it do this? And
Spaced
then that's
armor,
your first
blah, blah, blah. Yep.
That's just contact. So you got your contact RNG. And then you have your third RNG. How much? You've got, your basic alpha, and is it going to pin between this number or this number? Is it high roll, low roll? So that's your third one. How much actual penetration? And then you've got your fourth RNG. Let's roll the dice. Do you do any extra damage? It's like a game of D&D. You got like 8 dice in front of you, and you're just rolling the dice with one click.
Right.
It's a lot of RNG for one shot.
Yep.
And then you've got the aspect of angling your.
Yeah.
Does it hit? Yeah. Oh.
So that was very diplomatic. I appreciated the dodge, but do you like it or not?
It can be welcoming, and it can be. It is an aspect of the tank. You do have all those aspects. I get frustrated sometimes, just like everybody else. And then sometimes when I'm just going to push the button, and then all of a sudden I got a high roll, and it went to the bottom right of the reticule, and it was just like, all right, well, I'm not going to aim in anymore, because every time I aim in, I bounce or hit something I wasn't even aiming.
And objectively, that's not really the truth, but that's what you see, right? We cue in on the outliers that we see. I guess for me, I would say it's just a little too much, but it's baked into the system so much now, I don't think you change it. So it's just one of those things that is frustrating, but there you go.
Yeah. Well, my favorite target's the ground.
Yeah, well, it's so easy to hit, even when you're not trying to. So easy to hit. Well, all right, man. Hey, I really appreciate you coming by and doing this interview.
Definitely.
What else? Anything you want to tell the Watt community out there? Leave us with. I'm going to really put you on the spot.
Some words of wisdom.
Yes, the Devil Dogs. I don't know. Give us your philosophy, the words of wisdom. Stun us.
I'm gonna piss off Ninja right now, because I know he hates the fuck out. Oh, sorry.
You're fine.
He hates this saying, but it's just a game, brah. It's competitive. If you want the game to be better, you're gonna have to help people out instead of hating on them. Don't rage so much. I used to rage a lot at it. Learn. Educate yourself. Why did that happen? Don't just blame things. Learn from it, grow from it, and I think in time, if we help the community better themselves, I think it'll be a better community and a better gameplay. But the community has to be open to constructive criticism as well. If somebody's trying to help you out, don't say flavored things and think that you know everything with your 1200 win rate ratio and but yeah, you just got to grow. It's going to be a game. There's going to be things that you like, things that you don't like. They're there to make money. You can hate special ammo and all this other stuff, but
yeah, that's good, man. I like that. All right, hey, thanks a lot. I really appreciate that.
Appreciate you for having me.
I hope you enjoyed the discussion here. We got pretty deep on some of those things. That was pretty good, though. Very diplomatic on your answers, man. That's Hey, I'll put your stuff down below in the description for
appreciate that.
The Devil Dog's Twitch stream. Check them out. Actually, it's a lot of fun. So like I said, I hung out with the Devil Dog for about an hour and a half the other night, and I laughed. I did. I laughed out loud. I enjoyed it. It was awesome. Look for his YouTube stuff coming up, and buy some beard product. Even if you don't have one, just put it in your hair. I don't know. Do something with it.
Make it fuller, flusher, well-rounded.
I need to get sponsored by somebody, but I don't know, man. You know what I mean?
I'll sponsor you.
Oh, good. Sponsored by the Devil Dog.
Yeah, Tank Talk with,
Tank Talk, yeah. Well, that's what we need. Hey, you know what? Put down in the description. We're looking for a name. I like Tank Talk.
I like your idea too.
Between two tanks.
Between two tanks.
Yeah, I wish I was as funny as him. I feel like that's a really hard level. If you're going to call it Between Two Tanks, you got to be like Zach funny, and I don't know if I'm quite there.
You just got to ask stupid questions.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
Expect stupid answers.
play stupid games, win stupid prizes, right?
There you go. You got to be dumb. Guys. You got to be tough.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. We'll see you guys later.
All right. See you guys later.